Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror, the podcast. I am your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the owner operator of Something Wicked Entertainment and Events, and I want to welcome you to our program today. I want to say a congratulations for joining us on this month because we are celebrating the month of December by celebrating with a whole bunch of Christmas themed horror films. So we hope that you will be enjoying some of the podcast episodes that we're doing this month as we delve into a lot of the different Yuletime holiday cheer or death. Which brings us to
Yeah.
today's.
No, I don't think there's going to be a lot of cheer involved unless you really like horror movies like we do. Then you might be cheering about it.
Well, for everyone listening, that is our special guest today, Dave Watkins, and everyone who is listening to our horror podcast. We get a little cheer out of all the horror films that we watch, whether they are Halloween, Christmas, what is that, St. Patrick's Day or Valentine's Day. We love our horror and we love our holidays. So it's great that we're going to take the time out this month and focus on a lot of great Christmas themed horror films, starting with the 2006 remake Black Christmas. And like I said, Dave Watkins is going to help me, decorate the halls with this amazing film.
So I do have I have a list here of Christmas movie themes. Now this is horror movie. Now often with horror Christmas movies they actually turn these themes or tropes on their head.
Mhm.
But I got five things that Christmas movies typically need to have, I think, for it to be Christmas. And one is Christmas as its central theme, and Christmas must matter to the story.
Mhm.
The second one, seasonal setting that we have, of course, and we should have if we're talking about something of a Christmas movie. And this one that we don't necessarily get, I think it's turned on its head, is themes of redemption, generosity, or family. The fourth one we get use of Christmas tropes, whether it be Santa, gift giving, mistletoe, so forth. And then the fifth one, which we don't get, which is emotional warmth or magic warmth, unless you think this horrific stuff is heartwarming, which you may. It may bring a bit of joy to you during the holiday season.
You know what? I to be honest with you, some of these Christmas themed horror films do bring a little warmth and cheer to my a little heart during the holidays, because I not every great holiday horror film can be like a Christmas Story or Planes, Trains, and Automobiles or heaven forbid Home Alone.
I tell you what's really destroyed the Christmas movie is Hallmark. They have destroyed it because you got the movies you just mentioned, plus National Lampoon's like Christmas Vacation, and but you take those movies are great, and then Hallmark just takes like the shit, and then they just twist it until it sucks. It's like they know the formula. Um, but I kind of think, I mean, it's kind of a challenge, I think, for a horror movie to have these themes for it to work. And some do. There are some that do. Trying to remember the name of it, but it's one that we talked about possibly covering. It was like it was a Finnish film where they kidnap Santa and he ends up being kind of evil. Rare Exports is
Rare
what it's called.
Exports, freaking
Yeah,
brilliant
yeah,
movie.
yeah. But I think that kind of covers this. But most of the time, Christmas horror movies don't do it because they. But this one doesn't either. But I think it covers some of the bases. So I mean, it's definitely we got a Christmas setting. We got Christmas tropes. Like I said, I think. What do you think? A Christmas goal of a Christmas horror movie is a lot of times to turn those tropes on their head. I think that's sometimes the goal.
I think this movie hits most of your little marks, though. You
Yeah,
know,
but when I say the marks, though, I mean obviously it's not going to because it's a horror Christmas movie. But I think it does address them in a way that turns it on their head. Like you say, themes of redemption, of family, or generosity, which we'll get into what happens with that. It definitely takes that and turns it upside
it
down.
does. It turns it upside down.
It, you know, but let's,
So,
I guess, yeah, let's get into what the actual movie is. But I do want to say we covered the first one about a year ago. I guess it was about a year ago. It was one of our first podcasts we did, and I think both of us really enjoyed the first Black Christmas. It's a friggin' classic.
yeah,
Bob Clark, who also directed The Christmas Story.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. We both did do that one, and I love the original Black Christmas. It's still one of my favorites of all time. Christmas horror films, and I really enjoyed this remake. I enjoy this remake because it takes what essentially is very basic ideals from the original, but then turns those on its head and makes it much more relevant to the time in which the movie was made. And this one has a really sharp sense of dark humor in it, which I really, really can appreciate. Whereas the first one could almost be a dead serious slasher movie with some
Yeah.
very serious themes in it, contained within it.
But
So,
the first one, yeah, the first one is like kind of a prototype for early slasher movies. It's one of the best earlier slasher movies out there, and it also had it's still that one had more of a police procedural thing going on with John Saxon's character. There's not really that in this one,
no.
but I think this one it doesn't necessarily have what the original had in a way. It really brings a lot of Easter eggs from the first one in clever ways.
Hmm.
But this one it has a script that's very violent. It's very gruesome. It moves very fast. It also has a flashback bit to it where it kind of cuts between two different timelines. And at first, I thought they were trying to even do something more crazy with that, like trick the audience into thinking that they were in a different timeline than they really were. But luckily, they weren't. Even that would have been kind of cool. I thought they might be trying to pull a Westworld or something for a little bit, but they weren't trying to be that clever with it. It's just very. There's basically the story of what's happening. You got a chamber piece, people inside of a sorority house during Christmas holidays, a bunch of women and older ladies, probably I guess they're
Kid mother.
and yeah, den mother, and you got them being stalked, and you got that mixed with a flashback of the stalker killer who it does seem like they're trying to do some twist here, but there's not really, and that's one thing that there's not any big twist, but it does as it goes on, you're thinking because this is during the era of Sixth Sense sort of mentality, and I think that there like I was you're always at that point in time it was like where's the twist, they've been still doing that, like you said you watched Weapons earlier. I haven't seen that yet, but I hear there's like some twist in that to try to do that with different timelines and stuff, which Strange Darling's a good example of them messing with a timeline like that.
Well, with this film, I had forgotten how much they used the flashbacks to tell the story for what happened with the Billy character. It's like they're telling two separate stories, but the one whenever they're telling Billy's story from the different character's perspective, it's like telling a campfire tale to other characters. So it's not just like relaying important information, but because of the way that it's told from different characters, like I think the Kyle character, it's somebody it could
Yeah.
be I think it's Kyle,
Right.
and some of the other characters, even the den mother, Mrs. Mac, they're telling it like it's a campfire tale, like it may be truth, it may be not truth, but we as the audience are taking it as truth because that's what the characters believe is truth. Um, and I love that aspect of this film, and I've forgotten how much of that was utilized in this film. It's utilized almost through the entire film until the third act when the big
Yeah.
reveal comes out. Um,
No, now I was watching this on. I have a DVD right now. It's only unfortunately that there's a Blu-ray, but the DVD I watched, and when I was watching it, it's been a while since I've seen this film. I was kind of shocked by how graphic
mhm.
and gory and gruesome it is, and after that, I was thinking about it, and I looked on the front cover, and it's like the unrated version. So I
Mhm.
bet you there's a version of this that's very tame that doesn't have the graphic violence as bad because some of the stuff that in this unrated version, it's like when that happens, it's like, holy shit. Yeah, I can't believe they got away with that. You know what I'm saying?
So, from what I remember when I saw this at the theater, and I did see this at the theater when it originally came out, I remembered it being gory. I probably like I the other bad thing about having an unrated and a rated version back in the early 2000s and stuff like that is that they would like they're like adding like a minute worth of footage, and they're
Yeah.
not adding like like a substantial amount of extra shit to the movie. It usually is like, oh, they killed someone with 12 slashes originally, but they had to cut out six of them, so you only saw six in the theatrical version.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, but sometimes it matters though. I mean, sometimes 20 seconds matters. Because that 20 seconds could mean the difference between like seeing somebody's brain coming out the back of their head or just like something coming towards the camera, and cutting.
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And this is gruesome. You know, there are a lot of gruesome elements in this film. I remember it being gruesome. I just don't remember it how gruesome it was versus the unrated version. And I watched the unrated
yeah,
version as well. When I was rewatching it because that's the only version I own. So I don't actually I the original theatrical version I've only seen once, and then I own an unrated version. So that's what I've seen over the years since it came out.
right, right. So yeah, but a couple of movies around. I just want to throw some movies out there because kind of give a feel for the time here. There was a lot of remakes happening. I think the a lot of remakes of horror movies. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think, kind of started this in a way. It started the way that this looks and the just the lighting that they are doing in this, and then Dawn of the Dead, House of Wax, The Fog in 2020, 2005, like a year before this, and then The Hills Have Eyes the same year. So there's a lot of that. That was kind of what was happening at this time. They were taking older movies from the late 70s and remaking them.
Yep, yep. We had a
And,
lot of
and following this, of course, Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. But this movie, which is hilarious, it does a really good job with the atmosphere and the Christmas. It's almost like it looks like when you're watching a Hallmark movie, the way it's just decked out in a ridiculous way. The outside of the house looks great, the inside looks like a Hallmark movie. And then as the movie goes on, that is turned into a horrific atmosphere because the lights go out and what's originally seen as a very merry time becomes increasingly more dangerous.
Oh yeah, I don't know if it's increasingly more dangerous considering that at the top of the movie we get the first killing.
Yeah, this
They
yeah.
don't shy from that because I think generally speaking in the early 2000s when this movie came out, they were following a script of how a remake and how a horror film went. It did all of that exactly the way it should do it. But like you've just mentioned, like all of the remakes of this time were being extremely more gory than their predecessors were.
But
And this,
they were being bigger, and not necessarily like this one's definitely more gory. But say like the Fog, they were being bigger with their special effects. They like went berserk with their CGI in that one.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
but some of them, like like The Hills Have Eyes and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you definitely saw an increase in the amount of gore because like the
And
original
Dawn of
ones,
the
yeah,
Dead.
yeah, definitely that one, yeah. But they were definitely they were pushing the boundaries, and that was what people were wanting, or that's what they thought people were wanting at that time.
Well, yeah, because we also had the rise of the torture porn type of movies at that same time. So,
Yeah, Saw came out in 2004, 2 years before this.
yeah, people were and people liked that stuff.
Yeah,
I'm I really like this film cuz and like I said everyone who's listening, I saw this at the theater when it originally came out. I was a huge fan of the director Glenn Morgan from his work on The X-Files especially. But some of the other stuff cuz I'd seen Above and Beyond and some of the other stuff he's worked on. But I was such a huge fan of the original Black Christmas that of course I'm going to go see the remake of this time because I saw all of the remakes that you mentioned already. I saw at the theater when it came out. I was
yeah,
like,
it's
with the exception of the Fog, I thought they were all pretty damn good. Sorry, people.
yeah,
I hated the Fog. I really hated that freaking remake.
yeah.
But
Yeah, I had a hard time with it too. I really loved the original Fog a lot. That remake, I did kind of give it a little bit better chance a few years ago. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I do appreciate some of it. I appreciate the way that it looks as far as the set design. I think that movie just kind of lost the plot as it got further into the film. It's not, it lost
yeah,
something, but I do like the production value, especially the water scenes in earlier on. There's some pretty cool stuff earlier on that kind of bumps it up. I like Tom Welling from Smallville, but it's I don't know. From what I remember, they pulled the twist ending bullshit in that.
yeah, I
That was
hate
like, yeah, it was just like I was like really over the twist ending at that point. Yes.
which is which is not which is one of the things why I like this remake. The if for anyone, I'm hoping you've all seen this movie, but if not, one of the great things about this film is that it takes kind of the seed, in my opinion, it takes the seeds of what was in the original Black Christmas and then it turns them on them head and creates a different type of story. Whereas the first film, you didn't focus on the Billy character as much. He's more or less a presence in the house, the fraternity house. Whereas in this one, he is an actual character of which we actually see a lot of in this film, and what he does. And I
Yeah.
actually really enjoyed that aspect of this movie.
Yeah, I think it takes the ideas, like you say, the seeds are planted. There's some ideas about Billy in the original one.
Yeah.
They're like him, and they like him making the phone calls and saying all this crazy stuff to everybody in the house, which happens again here, but it's not really Billy, like Agnes' sister, which he split personality in the original movie. Here he actually has a sister named Agnes, but it takes those ideas and it just I think builds on it and
Yes.
really takes like what was just a smaller idea in the original one and actually makes it like the driving force behind the movie.
Yes. And so what we generally discuss for everyone who may have never seen this film is literally Christmas Eve, I think. It is Christmas Eve, right? Yeah, Christmas Eve.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I
I'm
think it's
pretty
Christmas Eve and not Christmas Day. Christmas Eve, and of course, the last remaining people at this fraternity or sorority house they're in the process of leaving if they're leaving for the weekend, and the few remaining that are staying there, the basic idea is that they for the holidays they kind of honor the bad vibes and the bad I guess you'd call it the what happened at that house. They honor it by, giving Billy a Christmas present every year. Part of their secret Santa. So no one ever knows who gives Billy the present. And if you never played Secret Santa, please go out there and play it. But that's a great game to play as you get older.
Yeah, and that's one of the Christmas things that I was
Yeah,
talking about that's included in this film. One of the Christmas motives of like say Santa Claus or gift giving, but
yeah, the
the
gift
Secret
giving,
Santa,
Secret Santa.
which is an important thing. It was earlier on. Um, let me talk about the characters real quick in the house and the actors
Okay,
playing them.
go ahead and try to get through all the characters. Yeah,
I just want to talk about the main ones because I think it's an interesting cast. I think that they're all
great cast.
Yeah, I think the cast is awesome. I think the characters, it is a slasher movie, so they're kind of underdeveloped, but you don't necessarily have time to develop them that much. The top billed actress is Katie Cassidy, who plays a character named Kelly, but they were really trying to push her as a main like
Mhm.
a horror icon for a while. She was in the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street in 2010. I recognize her from Supernatural because I love that show. She played the first version of Ruby on there. Did you see that?
No, I've
Yeah.
watched random episodes of Supernatural.
So during the second, I think it's either the second or third season, they suddenly introduced the producers like threw two female characters into the cast in the main cast, and she was a demon, a pretty interesting character named Ruby, and she wasn't in all the episodes of the season, but she was, and when she was in an episode, she was billed as one of the main cast members, during the second at the end of that season, the character is kind of killed and it goes into another body, and so from there on, she's played by a different actress going on, but they were really trying to push her as a bigger actress here. I think she's a pretty good actress. I mean, I don't necessarily not like her, but it just didn't quite work out the way they're really trying to push it with her. Second build is Michelle Trachtenberg, who played Dawn on Buffy. That's what I know her from.
Yeah, yeah.
She's not really like her part wasn't as big as I was expecting in this film, but it's still she died in February of this year. Unfortunately, I was
Yeah.
pretty surprised to see that, but I really liked her as an actress. I think she's really great in this. Had a lot of she was started as a child actress apparently.
Yeah, she did. And I actually liked her in Buffy, and I've liked her in several of her other movies she's been in. It was tragic to hear what happened to her earlier this year, but I mean, I had no problems with her. And then, of course, moving right along from her, I think what they did a great job in casting because they cast a lot of up and coming actresses to inhabit these
Yeah.
characters, which is just great. You want to keep going?
I got two more I want to talk
All right.
about. All right, because there's obviously a bunch of people in the cast, but there's two other ones that are pretty well known now, like Mary Elizabeth Winston, who played the main character in 10 Cloverfield Lane. She's married to Ewan McGregor, one of the main characters in Birds of Prey, and played a really awesome character on Fargo, and also one of the main characters of Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer. but she plays kind of the third bill. She's got, like pretty good part in it, and she's got a lot of screen presence. And the last one, which I think is the most hilarious addition here, is that Lacey Chabert, who is very famous for starring in over 40 plus Hallmark
I
movies.
know. Wait, when you mentioned the Hallmark movies, I was wondering if you're going to notice that she has done like nothing in her
Yeah,
career, but
over 40. Probably most of them are Christmas, but
they are. Yeah, I think don't get wrong. Everyone listening, don't get me. Don't think even worse of me. Because if you have a significant other and they like Christmas, you end up watching some of those Hallmark Christmas movies because there's so damn many of them.
yeah.
And so I have seen several of them that she is in because I tried to open my mind to that.
I saw one last year, man. It was hilarious.
I saw a lot last year.
I saw one. Yeah, the thing about it is, like, I think one year I was kind of as a kind of joke thinking that they were so bad that they were kind of good. I did watch some of them, but then I got to the point where I'm like, these are just so bad that they're bad, and it kind of destroys. I mean, I really do think it destroys the Christmas movie because it really takes it and it just makes it shit, really, you know?
Just to get off a little subject real quick, because we're talking about Christmas movies, I don't think that they're necessarily bad. I just think that they're like the same script with different actors in them. Like
Yeah.
they're like literally the same script with different actors in a different town, but they're the same one. Like they're competently
Yeah.
made and competently written.
Yeah,
But
she's a pretty good actress, though. She's pretty good.
but they're not something that's gonna elevate the Christmas movie. They're like a C across the board, all of them.
Yeah. Well,
And
I guess
they're
yeah,
happy about that.
yeah. I guess it's when I say bad, I'd say you can watch a few of them and kind of be okay with it, but you don't feel it. You don't feel the Christmas spirit in them. It feels like it's regurgitated, and you don't feel it like you do, say, if you're watching Scrooged and at the end, or like any of the Christmas Carol movies that aren't like shot in a week. But
They are
but
shot like they are shot like a television show episode, but they have huge stars in them. It's the craziest thing. It's like everyone needs to do a Christmas movie, just like every musician, if they want to be relevant and stay relevant, does a Christmas album. Every
yeah,
major star does a Christmas movie for Hallmark, and it's the
yeah,
craziest thing I've ever seen. She just happens to have done a shit ton of them. Now, the only thing I really know her from is Lost in Space
yeah.
movie.
I was gonna
Uh,
mention that too, but yeah, she was really young in that. Yeah,
She's really young. I've never watched her show Party of Five. I've never seen the show.
yeah,
So I can't. That's what she was known from my
right.
perspective.
Yeah, I never
Lost in
seen it either.
Space.
Yeah,
I've seen that bad movie so many times. It's ridiculous.
yeah.
It's not a great movie. It's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, I've just got a new 4K version of it. Arrow released it. Hadn't watched it yet, but what was funny, like about a year ago, I bought a Blu-ray from Scream Factory, and then suddenly they released a 4K through Arrow. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm getting it again. The very first movie I ever got for a DVD player, it came with it, Lost in
Oh,
Space.
Jesus.
It came with the DVD player, along with U.S. Marshals and I think two other things. But I think it's the very first movie I watched on a DVD player at my house. So
Oh, Jesus. All right. And then I do want to add one person to that, which is Kristen Cloak.
yeah.
I've always loved Kristen Cloak, and so she just gets to choose some scenery in this film when she actually shows up.
But she does have a lot of screen time in it. Once she gets in there, she
Yeah,
kind of
once she
becomes
gets
like
there,
the
she has a lot of
secondary
screen time.
protagonist. Yeah. But what do you? I don't recognize her from anything. What do you recognize her from?
She was from, I think, shit, was it X
I
Files, Millennium?
yeah,
She was in other Glenn Morgan stuff, and that's where I know her from.
yeah.
Um,
She was in another famous horror movie.
Final
I didn't.
Destination.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She
Uh, but really, I know her mostly from having seen her in
from it.
X
I don't know,
Files,
but
and I don't know what it was that that clicked with me with her, and so I do keep thinking that I can't remember everything about her anymore because she doesn't really do much anymore.
yeah,
So I can't remember everything, but I remember back in and I was avid, huge, like obsessive fan of the X-Files. So I used to know all these crazy actors who would be in 1, 2, 3 episodes, and then I'd
But
go see other stuff that they were in.
what did she? Who did she play in the X Files on there? Do you
She's
remember?
just in a random
Yeah. Oh,
episode.
I got you.
But
Yeah,
she was
yeah,
also in, like I mentioned, Space Above and the Beyond. Also, Glenn
yeah.
Morgan, which is what I've seen a billion times. Another, in my opinion, completely forgotten show that I absolutely used to love. And I used to love a lot of these shows back then. And like I said, The Others, another one I told you I
Yeah, yeah.
mentioned, where she was also in there. So she was in a lot of these Glenn Morgan shows that I watched. And I love these shows, and I rewatch them all the time. And so that's how I know her from. The only other thing I can think of on her resume that I would have seen her from back then is Willard, but I don't remember her in Willard. I'd have to rewatch that another remake. I'd have to rewatch the remake to see where she was in that. Um,
Yeah. Was he directed that too? The same director,
yeah, yeah.
Glenn Morgan.
I keep thinking
But
that she was like married to him or something, but I have to look that up. Like she was like really close to that. That's why she was in so many things that he.
yeah, yeah.
But
What's it's odd too in this one because her part is kind of large and she gets her billing is not very high in the end credits or the opening credits. I think she's pretty far down the list, but
I
it's
think it's the same with the Final Destination. I mean, she's in that, but yeah, I might have to look that back up. I just
yeah.
don't remember anymore. Stuff, over age, over time, you forget some of this.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. But I guess before we get back in, I guess we should talk about kind of the opening sequence in this the where the Claire character is killed in one of the earlier scenes
Mhm.
and pretty gruesomely and like I do like the way that they put like a black bag over people's heads and then they stab them in the head while they can't breathe. So it's kind of like a double whammy: bag over your head, you can't breathe, and then stab you. You know,
Yeah, several characters in the movie get that motif death scene, and it's still effective.
oh no, yeah, I think it works
It's
really.
extremely effective in this
Yeah,
movie.
when they get that stabbed to the head and there's like that, and these killers are very like good at what they're doing. Especially when you get further into the film and people are like you wouldn't expect them to be killed so quickly in such a like brutal way. They're very both the killers are, which you don't know. That's what I think that was something that was kind of confusing me at first because the very first scene you have Claire in a room getting ready to leave, and then you have a what looks like a girl with blonde hair under a table, and I, and then it's like Claire's killed, and then it cuts to like the criminally insane area
Hmm.
where Billy, who you assume is the killer, is in the criminally insane. So in many ways, I was thinking that scene with Claire getting killed was a scene that happened after the criminally insane because I thought that was Billy killing her, but it was not Billy. There's two killers, and I think that's something that they try to keep it hidden for a little bit, but I think it kind of makes it more confusing that they try to keep it hidden because for a little while you're thinking that they're jumping timelines.
I think that you are correct with that. I think that that's what they're trying to. I think, in theory, they were trying to do that because you don't get the story elements with the Agnes character until much later in the film. So when you're watching it, and I could agree to that for when I first saw the film, because that's one of the things I still like about the film, and I paid more attention when I rewatched it for this podcast. I want to see how well they integrated those scenes because I knew that there was two killers. How well they set that all up, and from what you said, and I didn't think about this, what they were playing with time with the flashbacks, I kind of get that impression as well that the first kill is like really not in the present, but or it's in the present, but then when we see the insane asylum right afterwards, that's kind of like a flashback type of thing, and they're playing with time, just like
Yeah.
they are when they do the actual flashbacks. And since they do it throughout the entire film, if you're watching it and not realizing there's two killers, then this whole film is like flip flopping between time periods the entire time, and you're not really aware of anything until it's revealed that Agnes is alive in the house. Um, and that's what, halfway, a little after halfway
Yeah.
movie that you figure
But
that out.
yeah, I think like for me though, I came into a better grip. grip of what was going on when the second girl gets killed. I, I wrote her name down. What is it? Like I think it's Amanda or something like that. No, Megan.
Megan.
But yeah, Megan. Because what happens? The first girl doesn't interact with any of the main characters,
No.
but then the second girl, Megan, does. And there's some drama going on with Megan and the
Kelly.
main girl, Kelly's
uh,
boyfriend, and there's like this computer thing that kind of brings it into this type of 2006 time period. I think with this, that's almost like a Scream drama thing going on. I guess I don't quite understand exactly what happened. Basically, who did he send it to her? Or did she send it to him? There's a sex tape with her having sex with Kelly's boyfriend. I think it happened before they were even together.
In theory, Kyle's friend got a hold of his
Okay, yeah,
computer,
yeah.
and sent out the tape. And this all happened before, and this is the confusing part. With the Megan character, when everyone else knows that Kelly is going with Kyle, why is Megan in this video really a thing? Unless, that's the only confusing part. When I was rewatching, I was like, if everyone, because they're all surprised that Kyle is in her bedroom after she's dead, and he claims he have been he snuck in
Well,
there.
yeah, well, he stuck in there, I guess, to get the computer or something. But it's a little contrived.
Yeah.
The Cal character. Now, there's two male characters in the first one. In
Mhm.
the first, and the boyfriend of the main character, Olivia Hussey's characters, her boyfriend was a red herring
Yeah.
because you thought he was the killer. Even she did at one point and accidentally kills him. But here they're kind of doing that a little bit with Kyle, but they don't go as hard with it as they did in the original one. But the, but that yeah, but I guess maybe there was an intention for his friend to be a character in the movie too, and then they just didn't have time for it. Maybe that was part of an original script that got cut out or something, because kind of without some of those other dynamics, it's kind of like that whole videotape setup. It's confusing to me, but you kind of got the dialogue about the friend. I missed it, but
Yeah, but it still seems kind of odd, though. I mean, like, I couldn't figure out why, if everyone knew that Kyle was dating Kelly, why Megan would be crazy about this video. You think that, like that doesn't
but
make, like, you
yeah.
see her crying as she's watching this video. So obviously he's having an affair with her. But the video is of him and Kelly. So it's a weird.
Well,
It's
it's not him and Kelly though. It's him and Megan.
in the video.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Is it?
Well, that's what I think happened. I think that Megan and but Kyle says later that he had sex with her before they even got together.
Yeah.
But
Oh, okay.
he could be lying, but I think that the thing is, like Megan's really, they seem to be a very tight knit group of people,
Yeah.
and then she calls her down to come have Christmas. She was to come down to open Christmas presents, and she
Yeah.
feels very guilty about this at this point, and that's kind of what's going on with her in the video. That you,
Why is she
it,
talking about the video? See, that doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah.
that,
See, that's why I got confused who was in the video. If Megan's in the video with Kyle, why is she crying about the video? Why does
well,
she even care
yeah.
about the video?
Well, two things. One thing that you just said is a casting issue. The two women look too close
I,
alike.
I
They
think,
should have
yeah,
cast them. They should have cast them differently so they looked a lot different. Um, Second thing is she's crying because she didn't want Kelly to know that she has slept with her boyfriend because she wants to be friends with. I don't know. I guess it kind of makes sense.
that whole sequence was like, I don't think I ever really paid much attention to it till this last viewing of it. Like I've watched this movie a lot since it originally came out, but more for entertainment value and not actually looking at the details like this. And this just bugged me. Like, I was like, if you're
Yeah.
gonna cut something out of this movie, you should at least cut that.
Well, I don't think they can cut it because of the way that it progresses with the Megan character and Kyle coming back into the room. But there's definitely some confusion with that. I feel like some parts of it might have gotten cut out. It is a very it is a very like television sitcom or like Dawson's Creek sort of thing that happens in the movie. It's you know, it is like it's just like it's all that in they're trying to well, I guess they're trying it is trying to make it a little more hip or trying to make that the boyfriend and he is kind of a
He's a dick
yeah, he's a
to
bit of a creep.
everyone.
Yeah,
Like
he's a bit of a creep, and he's even controlling sounding in the first scene you see him in. You know.
and he calls Kelly a bitch.
Yeah,
And that's when all the girls gang up on him and kick him out of the house. I'm
yeah.
like, what did Kelly see in this guy? Like,
Well, he had thought all he's not always that way. He's a narcissist. He's not a killer. Just like that boyfriend in the first one. He's got some
yeah,
psychological issues.
yeah,
He's probably quite charming until he's caught. When a narcissist gets caught, they lose their shit.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
agree
then
on that.
they don't even lose their shit. They show their true face.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
and they're just like, "Fuck you, bitches! I'm leaving," sort of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But he
I'm
can't
like,
leave
damn.
because there's a friggin' ice storm outside. You know,
I agree with you on that. I was like, because yeah, I agree with you on that one.
yes,
I do like the fact that when he comes back, he tells his story about the Billy's character. So that's very important. I mean, I know that all that those scenes are setting up his character. I know that. And then
yeah,
of course he tells the story about the whole Billy character, which I think is part of like this is the house that as kids we stayed away from, we crossed the street from because it was
yeah,
so just the stories about this house. And that's one of the things I loved about this movie and the way that these characters relay their Christmas tales to one another. I was like, oh yeah, and I love those scenes. Of course, when push comes to shove, he's the chicken shit because he wants to leave the house as soon as he says, "Oh, Billy's here. Oh shit, we need to leave the house."
yeah. Well, I think that's a good call to leave the house.
Yeah, it is because he ends up dying pretty soon. But
Yeah,
because none of the other characters would pay attention to him, he's
yeah,
the local person also. From my understanding, he's one of the only local characters there until we meet the Lee character, Lee Colvin, the Kristen Cloak character, who says that she went to that same frat house and that same school when she was there. But she just kind of hated the experience, so she doesn't remember shit. Whereas the Kyle characters remember everything because he grew up there, he heard the stories, can't believe anyone's actually living in the house that Billy stayed in, stuff like that. These little elements that
yeah.
I really liked about the story. So
So Megan's death, the second death of the film, is very. They pull some of the original Black Christmas elements into it. She goes up into the attic. Claire's body's in the attic with a bag over its face, just like in the original Black Christmas. But she goes up there, sees her, and then gets the bag over her head too. And then on her though, it's a lot more gruesome because he actually reaches in, grabs her eye out, or she reaches in. It's Agnes, but she reaches in and grabs her eye out. And I don't remember if she eats it at this point, but they eat a lot of eyeballs in this
he
film.
like eyeballs.
You think they'd be like full by the point time the thing's over, but
I've forgotten how many eyeballs get plucked out and eaten in this movie. So I was
yeah,
watching. Oh shit! I forgot about
it's
this.
that's a pretty messed up thing to grab somebody's eyeball out and eat it, though. You know, it's
Hey, it's a 2006 movie. They're trying to be as gruesome as possible in this day and age. Like you said, we get The Hills Have Eyes remake
yeah.
a year or two after this.
No, but the Hills Have Eyes remake had the rape scene in it,
Yeah,
which was really tough to watch. But this one doesn't go sexual as bad as that, even though there is something in it, but it doesn't
incest.
go. Yeah, there's incest, but it doesn't show. It's kind of heavily implied, but it doesn't actually show the act. It doesn't show the sexual
No,
act.
no,
And
no.
this one is very graphic with the violence.
There's a lot of taboos broken in this movie, including all the ones that involve Christmas. Um,
Yeah,
all I can think of is that little whole thing is he sees you when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake, and he knows when you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. And the great thing about Billy slash Agnes is they are always peeking through the
yeah,
most obscure holes in this house. Like they over
yeah,
the years and decades, put holes everywhere, and they were really creative cinematography wise on how they did a lot of these great instances throughout the entire film. And of course, that goes into the theme of the whole plucking eyeballs out and eating them type thing.
But
Uh,
yeah, there is that one scene with the really drunk girl who's similar to the Margot Kidder
yes,
character in the first one. She's taking a shower and he comes up through the floor with poking the towel out. And there's a little bit of nudity shown there, but it doesn't show
I,
that much.
I think that's the only scene that actually has nudity in it too.
Yeah,
This one doesn't.
probably. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't think this movie has a whole lot of nudity in it.
But they, but that was more of like an '80s thing, I think, for the nudity. I think at this point they were not showing it as much. I don't think it was it's starting to become a more like it's more frowned upon all of a sudden. It's definitely you don't see it very much anymore.
Mm,
But
no.
I don't mind it myself, but it's I guess when it gets gratuitous and it doesn't help the story, it's different. You know. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I, that is a question for a different time, only because I don't know how to best approach the whole story of nudity and how much nudity is actually pertinent to the story at hand. Um,
yeah. It's. I mean, it does add. I don't know. I think it's horror movies. It helps with them sometimes, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know if some people clearly don't want to see it. You know, they'd rather not see it at all. But maybe that's it also is a thing where just getting the actress to do it, it's a little demeaning. And some actresses, especially in earlier times when they would do nude scenes, they would be kind of frowned upon, and sometimes might not get another role because of it. You know,
I don't know. Yeah, I
or
think
it
every
could just be they
generation.
weren't very good actresses either. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's always a weird thing with where you are when you're making the film, what country you're in, what the taboos are from that country, and the decade in which the film is being made. Because there's nudity out the ass in the '60s and '70s movies, but then it starts to die out a little bit towards the end of the '80s into the '90s, where you probably I don't remember seeing a whole lot in the '90s at all.
Right. Yeah. It suddenly became like I guess taboo in a way. It's like really like it's kind of sometimes when I'm watching those older movies, it's nice to see it because you're not used to seeing it. Because it's like you're watching it and you're like, okay, that's cool. They actually went that like that. It's almost like in ways now that when they try to push boundaries in different ways, but back then they were pushing boundaries in that way, which they can't really push that boundary at this point anymore.
Interesting, interesting. So, but yes, there's only that I think one nude scene of the I can't
Yeah.
Donna or
Yeah.
Dana? No, it's not. What's her character's name? I can't remember her
Yeah,
character's name.
I didn't write. For some reason, I didn't write that character
I
down.
didn't either.
She's kind of an important character.
She
But
is she's like the Margot Kidder. I mean, it's literally the Margot Kidder character. Uh
she gets trash drunk and
yeah.
throwing up, and it's pretty hilarious in a way until it's not. But I guess let's back up to the insane asylum breakout with Billy. Because there's some kind of cool stuff that happens with that, and I think the lighting is really bizarre in the sanitarium. It's like really green looking. Um,
The lighting in this entire film, there's a lot of saturated reds and greens throughout the entire film in a lot of different scenes. Some of it's motivated, and some of it's just
yeah,
kind of the background that makes the film looks really fucking cool. That's one of the aspects of the movie I like. But you're bringing up the sanitarium where we get to see a lot of it in there. So go ahead.
yeah, with sanitarium, there's like a an orderly who's giving them dinner, and I'm seeing this like it's a bad idea right away that he's giving them like a plate of food with a candy cane on it, and I'm already in my head thinking they could use that to stab somebody with it, which of course they do. Yes. But it's like a fake out scene. The orderly's going down. He's an oddball dude. He's giving them the plates, and then he drops a carton of milk on the floor. This is like you see that new Jurassic World Rebirth movie?
Not yet. I have not.
So, so I'm going to compare it to that because but this is I can tell you about what happens. It's just the opening scene of this is Jurassic World Rebirth is so ridiculous. But similarly, he drops a carton of milk, the door catches it, and then so this other guy's able to get into the room with the orderly, But in Jurassic World Rebirth, this is so ridiculous. He drops a Snickers bar on the floor and it gets caught in the door, and then it causes like the whole place to get contaminated and shut down. It's so ridiculous. I mean, the dinosaurs get out because a guy drops a damn Snickers bar on the floor. But luckily, that doesn't happen here. I'm like thinking, oh man, but this is way before Jurassic World Rebirth writers must have seen this film. But
Oh
so,
God.
but the person that comes in behind him is not a killer. It's just a guy dressed up like Santa Claus, and he's kind of a perv a little bit. But he comes in and he talks to him a little bit, and but it's kind of a interesting. At first, you're like, is this guy in Santa Claus? There's something wrong with him. I mean, clearly, there's something wrong with all these guys in the sanitarium, yeah, including like the security guard there who seems a little off too. But they're probably just off because they're in a sanitarium with all these crazy people.
Yeah.
But the Santa Claus is they're legitimately he's in a hospital and he's just he talks to him and then they show him Billy. You know, they're like, check out Billy. There he is right there. And Billy then Santa Claus leaves. And Billy eventually gets the candy cane and stabs the main guard with it and gets out. It's
And steals the costume of the Santa Claus to walk out the front door. What's funny is that Santa Claus, the guy who was playing Santa Claus originally, is thrown into the Santa's sack and then thrown into the trash, which I
yeah,
find hilarious.
yeah,
I still find that scene hilarious.
yeah. It is funny. It is funny.
It's got this film has a very dark sense of humor, which I absolutely love, and which makes this film so rewatchable compared to some of the more serious Christmas themed horror films out there. That dark sense of black humor in this film is what makes it so enjoyable on the entertainment value, even when the most ludicrous thing is happening.
Yeah, I like. I mean, I do like the way it flows. It flows once you kind of get a grip of what's going on with it, and
Yeah,
it does have a way that it would see in the characters at the sorority house, and it follows them and opening the Christmas presents and stuff like that, and just like then as it progresses, like the storm outside's getting worse, and it looks pretty good. Like you see the windows and you see the snow outside, and it's just it really captures that storm idea, which was done really well in oh man, I'm blanking on the movie that Quentin Tarantino movie with
oh,
when they're
the Hateful
uh,
Eight.
yeah, it was done really well in that, but it kind of has obviously this was done before Hateful Eight, but it has that kind of feel to it as the characters become stuck inside of this location as the storm outside gets worse.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing about this is, slowly as the movie progresses, uh, certain sisters start to just go missing. Obviously, they are getting killed one by one, but they go missing. And the current people who are alive, followed by Kelly, are not aware of what's happening. They just go missing, which is very cool because some of them we see go missing, get killed, and others we don't. We kind of see the reactions of the bodies from the other characters as they come across them, as is a trope of most slasher films. Someone in the film usually comes across the dead bodies, starts screaming, and then gets killed themselves. That happens a lot in this movie, but it's much more fun in this movie. Uh,
Yeah, well, something that starts happening pretty early on is they start like this is a callback to the original Black Friday too. They start getting the phone calls,
oh yes,
and when they get the phone calls, they're from the dead person's phone, and they're able to identify that the dead person, which they don't know is dead yet, is calling them
hmm
and talking really fucking weird, like with the weird Billy voice, which I think is Agnes because it's too early because Billy's still in the sanitarium. I think when the phone call started, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken, and plus Agnes has the phone from the people that she's killed. But they do that twice or maybe three times, but each time it's from using the person's phone that she's killed.
yeah.
And it's a cool callback to the original one, but it also makes the people in the house like, what is going on? And that's what makes them go to the people's rooms to start looking for them, and then they start kind of seeing something's not right when they go into their rooms.
Yeah,
But yeah, go ahead.
well, it leads to a sort of it's not just a slasher film, but therein lies a mystery when people start disappearing and they don't know what happened to them. And then of course they see that their car is still there. They haven't packed. Their clothes is still there. Like Claire, when they go check on Claire, her stuff is still there. They notice that. So what happened to Claire? And it becomes like a mystery to try to figure out what happened to them before they actually get or have any real evidence that it's Billy because they don't know anything about Agnes. They just assume it's Billy because they don't know when or if he escaped from an asylum. They just know from the stories that he was sent to an asylum.
Yeah, by the time they start to figure it out, they're stuck there because of the storm,
mhm.
and then eventually eventually went. By the time they figure out something really is going on, their phones are out, and they can't get in touch with the cops. So they put them in a kind of dire situation where they're not able to get help.
Well, they
Uh,
get help from the cops. Remember, they eventually get a call, but they said the cops won't be there for 2 hours.
right, right, yeah,
So the group splits up at that point. Miss Mac and Heather, I believe, decide that they're not going to stay. Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character
yeah.
are not staying in that house. They know Billy's there. They don't know anything about Agnes, but the people are dropping like flies here, and they are not caring about their fellow uh, sorority sisters. They want to leave. I thought this was really clever because when this starts happening, these two, Mrs. Mack, who's supposed to be the leader of the group, and supposed to be the person who kind of embodies that whole sisterhood thing, is not that person.
Yeah.
She wants to leave with Heather to go to a nearby house to get to be safe, whereas everyone else wants to figure out where the missing girls are because they've not seen any evidence that they've been killed. I thought that was a very interesting concept to throw in there. That
I, yeah, I was kind of I was kind of on board with getting out of there. I thought that was a good idea. I was like, get out of there and then figure out what happened to him later. You know what I'm saying? It's like because I don't know. I mean, to me, I was like, it would be cool in a way if they were able to just get in the car and go,
Mhm.
and then those two characters got away. I was almost thinking that was going to happen, but it doesn't quite happen. The cars it really iced over. I don't think if they got the car out, I don't think they would have been able to drive. If you've ever been in that situation where there's suddenly the car's that iced over out of nowhere, and they
Yeah.
can't even get the ice off the front of it. I mean, I don't think they would have been able to drive had they been able to get the car out there.
I do believe that if they are living in a place like I did in Alaska, where you
Yeah,
are expecting that and you have chains in your tires and you have the right tires, I think they would. It would
yeah,
just
yeah,
take more
yeah.
time.
You'd have to put the chains on the tires in order to
Oh, it was
drive it on.
snowing there. They just happened to have a snowstorm, but it was snowing there before. They would have had the chains on them anyways, or snow tires.
Yeah,
But you saw what it was. There was so much snow on the ground that someone has to get a fucking shovel out there to shovel the snow out the way first.
yeah.
And the more useful thing on their windshield, when Miss Mac is clearing off of, would be to get a hot water and get it off that way. That's
Yeah,
what we
yeah,
used to do in Alaska.
yeah,
So,
right, right.
so for me, it was really funny watching these characters do that in the movie. Very
Yeah,
dramatic.
yeah. It's pretty funny too. Miss Mac tries to get the other girl to go out, and Mary Elizabeth Winston's character go out and clean the windshield off, and she acts like she don't even know what she's talking about. It's
Yeah, well, Heather's character is the one, as we all know, is the one that's well off. Her parents are rich. They actually want her to go home for the holidays, stuff like that. We do get a little sense that a lot of these characters have, the differences between them. Like the Eve character, who we is the mousy character that we only see for a very limited amount of time.
yeah,
Is upset.
right, yeah, yeah, yeah. That
But
was a
well,
weird
you
character.
get the sense that she might be the Agnes character until we figure out what happened to Agnes because she, they find or Heather finds the newspaper clippings in the room and all that type of stuff when
Yeah.
she goes up there to investigate. But
Yeah, she's generally in it briefly, but then they introduce her. There's actually some pretty cool camera work.
yeah,
They follow her down the hall with the dolly, and you're like, there is something going on with this character. She's really weird acting, and everyone when they see her, they're like, act weird. So it's like it really throws it off a little bit.
it does. I think the only thing that gives the way that she's not related is when they mention that her mother was a former house a respected house mother of that place. And I was like, well, that couldn't have been Billy's fucking mother because we've been watching that crazy bitch the entire fucking movie in flashbacks. So
Yeah.
It wasn't until this recent rewatch that I said, "Oh, she's like a fan." And I don't know if there was people like this back then, or I didn't think about it like that. But I'm thinking she's a fangirl of this Billy character, which is why she has the clippings and all this shit in there.
Oh
She's
yeah,
a fangirl. That's what this
yeah,
is. Uh,
right.
and so that's a different aspect that I never thought about until I rewatched it because obviously she gets her head chopped off and she's not Agnes in the movie. But
Right, yeah, yeah.
red herring. It's
But
interesting.
yeah, that's a character that has a few cool scenes, but she's very underdeveloped, and
Yes.
and it's kind of like, and just a red herring, and it's not like it doesn't necessarily go anywhere, but it's kind of a cool little thing to add in to make you think that there's something else going on.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the first flashback, the 1970 flashback when
Yeah.
Billy's born. No, he's just born there, but the thing about Billy, he has a like a rare liver disease and his skin's yellow, so which makes
Jaundice.
him, yeah, jaundice sort of, it makes him look pretty weird. And then his parents hated each other, and the mom hates Billy because she hates his dad, and then somehow she gets a lover, and they together, the mom and the lover kill Billy's dad, and he sees the dad killed, similar to the way he kills people after that. They put the plastic bag over his head and they beat him to death with a hammer.
Hmm.
But Billy's hiding under the bed and he sees all this, and that's kind of where the idea comes from with the bag over the face sort of thing.
Yep.
And then the second flashback um was 1982, I think, and well, that's Billy. They're making him live in the attic, and that's the one where the mom's like having sex with the stepdad on the stairs, and for some reason goes upstairs, and Billy's sitting there in the chair, and she disrobes and I guess has sex with him. I don't know why exactly, but the
She's
mom's
not
really messed up.
satisfied by her boyfriend.
Yeah,
The mother, like the boyfriend gets satisfied, but she's not satisfied, and she goes up to her son
yeah,
and to try and relieve herself, which I thought was real fucking weird. But it,
yeah. It's a little
it's
weird.
shocking.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
little weird. You
yeah.
know that
It's
because it's
absolutely.
shocking.
Yeah, yeah. It is.
You already think this woman's crazy to begin with. Like she's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah,
She's
yeah,
dark.
yeah.
You
Well, they
know, she's
killed the
nuts.
yeah, she killed the other guy, her first husband.
Yeah, but you do
Yeah.
get the sense that like if those two hadn't had Billy, who had a liver problem, then they probably would have been a perfectly normal couple. So she resents her only son for having this fucking yellow skin, jaundice, and being weird. And so I'm not trying to put any logic to this. This is a movie, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah, you're talking about like a really crazed person. I don't think it. Yeah, I see what you're saying about the son, but I don't think this mom character ever would have been, unless she was medicated. She always obviously needed some kind of medication because she was off her rocker from the beginning. So
I don't know. You see, we only get her story from after or what we're told from when she had the baby that had problems. I think that when Agnes came along, um, she was almost a normal mother until, of course, Billy goes crazy and steals Agnes or tries to kidnap Agnes or bring Agnes into his world, which is living within the walls and in the attic. Which then we really see how angry the mother gets from that. The mother tries to keep Agnes to herself and disown Billy. Billy doesn't exist in the house anymore, which I thought was kind of weird because Billy's always moving in the fucking walls and shit. Agnes at some point should have realized there's something wrong with this house because there's somebody moving in the damn walls all the time.
yeah. Well, Agnes is a pretty young girl. She's an inbred girl. I don't think she's that bright, but what really crazy happens there is it's on Christmas, and Agnes, Billy gets her, and then he calls them. He calls the mom and the stepdad, and he tells them that Agnes is his family now. And that's what he keeps saying when he
Yeah,
kills somebody, like they're my family now. And then they go up in the attic looking for him. And then they come back down, and he's got Agnes. He got a bag over her head. He takes out one of her eyes and eats it, for the first time. And that's kind of what started the whole eating of the eyeballs, I think. Yeah, but then this is when the really graphic thing happens because the stepdad comes in there, the mom's boyfriend, and he has some kind of big crystal like spear thing, Christmas decoration. He stabs it through his eye, and that's when his brain comes out the back of his head. And then it gets even more gruesome because then he gets the Christmas lights and wraps them around the mom's neck and chokes her to death. He takes a Christmas cookie cutters and makes cookies out of her flesh on her back and eats them.
Yeah, and then when the cops show up,
Yeah,
she's just chewing on them,
yeah,
the flesh cookies like they're beef jerky.
yeah, yeah.
So good.
Yeah, Billy is not Agnes, but Billy is.
Yeah, Billy is.
Yeah,
Billy. Agnes, we don't know what happens to her. We assume that she's like dead until it's revealed. The story tells that she gets put in the foster parents or something like that, and she's never heard from again.
right, right.
And then of course, from then on, it becomes like a Billy's story. Billy is the killer. Billy's this. Billy's that, and Agnes is forgotten. Until of course we later find out that Agnes, when she was released from wherever she was, she disappeared.
Yeah. Right. And so, I mean, some of that stuff has, I mean, it doesn't have to be filled in every little
Yeah,
detail, but you kind
they
of
fill
get
in a
it.
lot though.
Yeah, they do. They do fill. They don't tell you exactly what happens to Agnes in between, but
No,
I don't know. I don't know why Agnes's hair is black when she's a kid, and then it's blonde, or maybe she's wearing a wig, and definitely played by a guy. His name's like Dean something. You notice, but it's like they don't really see her that good as an adult, but it's
no.
definitely. I don't know why they have a guy playing her because. It seemed like that was something that they kind of did a lot during that time period for some reason. I don't know why exactly, but I mean, obviously they felt that he pull off the physicality of what the character had to do, and they maybe were worried that it might look weird or maybe they couldn't find the right physical actress who would be able to pull off the stunt work.
They did that in a lot of horror movies, anyways. We go
Yeah,
back to even Ted Raimi and Evil Dead movies, and of course the sister character in the Pet Cemetery movie. They were all played by male actors
yeah,
just to get that kind of physique that they wanted for these movies. I'm not surprised by that at all. I mean, you can't. To be honest with you, we're talking about the Agnes character. After she was released to be free out there, we all just assumed she went right back to her house and lived
yeah,
within the walls.
yeah.
And then when Christmas came, all hell broke loose. The trigger flipped, and she started killing people. I think she would have kept killing people whether or not Billy ever showed up or not.
But you think? I mean, I don't know. Does it ever say that there's people killed? Because it's been 15 years since Billy was put in the sanitarium, and I don't know if anyone's been killed in the
They
house
don't say
during this
anyone's
time.
been killed, but we also don't know how long Agnes has been free either. They don't give us a time for how long she was locked up before she was set free. That could
Yeah,
have been a year. It could have been 2 years. We don't know any of that. We don't know any of that.
yeah.
It's,
Again, it's like I mean, you don't have to fill in every little
you know,
gap, even though I'm sure they may have filled it in and not had to cut stuff out. But
I
yeah,
see what happened to her, kind of like what I see in what's his the Billy character in, I think it was Billy in Silent Night Deadly Night too, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, yeah,
So the Billy character in Silent Night Deadly Night is perfectly fine until Christmas. And then all that trauma comes up and he goes on a killing spree. That's kind of like how I see Agnes. Agnes is just in the house, in the walls, kind of like the Billy character in the original Black Christmas that people don't believe is there. Just there. Christmas comes and all hell breaks loose. Um, and I don't think she was in there very long. I think maybe a year. That's how I pictured it in my head to make it make
yeah,
sense. Because
yeah.
if she had been in there longer than that, she would have probably already gone crazy on Christmas already.
You're right, right, and yeah, I
But
mean, could be that. I don't know.
we don't know. And to be honest with you,
Yeah. Maybe there's some dialogue in there that we missed. Maybe there's something like maybe the house has not been used for sorority. Maybe this is the first year it's been used as a sorority house.
well, no, you got to remember that the lead character, the Kristen Cloak character, had what they used that house before. So I don't know. I don't. They were in that house before, so I don't know. To be honest, I don't know how long. There's not a definite. The only time period we get years for are the flashbacks. We only get actual years for those years, so we don't know any other detail. And I don't think we need to. I don't think it's very important to be honest with you. It's not going to hurt the story or help the story knowing all these details. We just know that Agnes went fucking crazy. and started killing people before Billy escaped, and then Billy escapes, and there's two of them in the house at the same time. So it makes for a very interesting concept because how often do you see that? You see it now often because of
Yeah.
Scream. I think Scream made it popular to have multiple killers in the
Right.
same fucking movie when the audience thinks there's only one.
Yeah. This yeah, I mean you see this other killer, the blonde-haired killer earlier on, but you what's odd about it is you assume it's a man dressed up as a woman, and it is, but it's really supposed to be a woman. Yeah,
You know what? When I first saw this, I always just assumed it was Billy, until it was revealed it was Agnes, and I just thought she was an ugly woman.
yeah. That's
I hate to say that out loud,
yeah, yeah,
but to
yeah.
be honest with you, when I first saw this, I didn't think about there being two different killers until it was revealed. After watching it, I assume that they were just going for the way the movie is lit with the green and red saturated colors. You don't like you can look at these scenes where Agnes is hiding, and because of the colors, you can't really tell it's Billy directly because of his yellow skin. The colors just kind of
Yeah.
mask out that whole thing, and you can believe it's Billy for until it's revealed it's not Billy, because Billy doesn't do most of the killings. He doesn't actually show up at the house until much later in the night, much
Yeah.
later in the
He
film.
shows up the first time you see him is when they get in the car, like Mary Elizabeth Winston's character. That's the first time you see him at the house when he's
Okay,
in the car. But before that, Lacey Chambert's character gets killed,
yeah,
and when she goes under the house, the power goes out, and they send her off by herself, goes under the house to like do the power, and then that's where Agnes shows up with a like a garden, like small garden rake. She actually fights her a little bit. She takes
yeah,
it and she stabs it into Agnes's arm, and that gives her the actual weapon to kill her. But it's kind of a cool scene though. And then she takes the garden rake out of her arm and then stabs it into the back of Lacey Chabbert's head, and that's pretty much it for her after that. But it's
yeah. But at least these girls are going down fighting as much as they can.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it's crazy though, because all of a sudden like shit hits the fan
Mhm.
right around the same time. Like she gets killed, then Mary Elizabeth Winston and the other lady get killed in the car, and then Michelle Trottenberg's character gets killed like right after that. Like you, and she fights too. Like she's sitting on the stairs, and he puts the bag over her head, and she's actually the first person to get away from that. And you think she's going to get away, and she's running, and they throw ice skates at her, and it hits her in the back of the head and kills her. But
Yeah, with their brains getting splattered everywhere. Such a great scene.
yeah, it's just- yeah, it's
They're very
cool.
creative in this movie
Yeah,
in terms of the kills. I will say that. Very creative.
it gets. I mean, it just happens so fast too. When that it just like they're stuck, and the killers come after them, and then they even get. That's when the boyfriend shows back up, and he gets killed like pretty. He fights a little bit, and then gets killed pretty gruesomely, like the bag over his head, and then he ends up like shoving something into his brain to kill him. But it gets like, and then after that, they take out both of his eyes and eat them.
Yeah, yeah. So the funny thing about this is a lot of people getting bags over their heads and a lot of people getting their brains splattered in. Those seems to be the most operandi for killing people in this movie. Whether it's like the ice skates to the back of Michelle Trachtenberg's head or Eve with her decapitated head falling out of her car. There's a lot of head trauma in this movie. Uh,
Yeah. But that whole scene up in the attic is kind of like the first climatic scene. There's another one after this later, but that one's pretty cool. And they like that's when both the killers are revealed to be there, and then there's a pretty crazy amount of stunt work going on with all that, and they're pretty brutal and they're pretty good at just killing somebody real fast.
Yeah, and you bring that up. I love the sequence in the attic. After the Kyle gets killed, we have the Lee character and we have Kelly up there, and of course Lee. After it's revealed that there's two of them, Lee falls halfway through the freaking floor, and she gets kind
Yeah.
of trapped there for a while Kelly is trying to fend herself off, and then of course Lee falls through the roof, and then gets knocked out, and of course Kelly uh, ends up getting away from getting away from Agnes uh, in the walls, which then in terms leads Billy to follow after her. So that the whole sequence with her trapped in the wall with Agnes below her and Billy above her is fucking suspenseful as shit,
Yeah.
and extremely well done visually. Uh,
Yeah. And then I guess the lead character that's the sister of Claire who shows up and they're very suspicious of her. They actually check her ID and everything else, but that character is very suspicious. That's another red herring character because you think, who is this? Nobody knows who she is. And she's often acting kind of odd too. But she ends up not being a killer, but she actually saves her through the wall. She starts banging and saying, "Help me, I'm in the wall." And she's the lead character starts breaking into the wall to try to save the Kelly character.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned that you're right that they kind of question her and everything like that. Where she plainly says that she hated her experience at this sorority. She hated being here, and she couldn't even early on. She says that she hated having to come out here to get her sister because her sister hadn't shown up.
Yeah.
So this is a person who hates it being at that place, but when the push comes to shove, she does not. She agrees with Kelly in that the sisters need to be support each other, and she's not going to leave until they figure out what happened to the missing girls. So, and of course, she ends up helping to save Kelly when she's trapped in between Agnes and Billy. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It's a, I mean, it's kind of a cool character, and especially if she shows up and she kind of becomes like a secondary protagonist for a while and fairly motivated. In the first Black Christmas, they had a lot of that going on too, with like people's relatives who had disappeared
yeah,
showing up, like the girl's dad, the first girl, who may have been called Claire in that one too. I don't know, but the first girl whose dad shows up and they never find her body. Remember, it ends up in the attic at the
yeah.
end, and he shows up. Like relatives of other people show up, but they don't fight like they do in this one. There's a lot of like fighting and stunt work,
Well,
and then
because
they burn the whole friggin' house down, and you think the movie's over, but it's only an hour and 15 minutes in, and it's an hour and 30 minutes long. So
yeah, yeah.
it's like what's going to happen now? So,
Now I do have to ask you. I'm still on the fence of how much I think that this whole little 15 minutes after the house burns down and
yeah,
Agnes and Billy are supposedly killed really works for me. But
right.
at the hospital slash in morgue, this hospital that Kelly and Lee are, because Kelly went through a lot and she was, had to get some medical attention. And of course, the morgue is where they brought all the bodies from the house, including that of Agnes and Billy. For me, this whole thing is a little bit contrived
Yeah.
because they're assuming that these two people, Agnes and Billy, who haven't had any real contact with each other in years, can fake being alive and not having a pulse together. Uh,
Well, there's like three alternate endings on the DVD release.
I don't think I've
Um,
seen the all.
yeah. There, I'll talk about them in a few minutes, but I think I agree with you. I think that I think it should have ended at the house,
Yeah,
and if we had a scene at the hospital, it should have been just them coming to life in the morgue or whatever, or not both of them. And there, and then I'm going to tell you, I will tell you about what happens in the deleted scenes because they definitely didn't know how to end this movie. And
oh,
yeah, I don't like it that I like it that the lead character survives, and at the end, before the end, and the Kate character survives, and this is kind of a hallmarky scene where they get out a watch, and I almost feel like at that point there's going to be a twist with the lead character. That's why I almost thought that was going to happen, but instead, I guess there's a hospital mayhem sequence, kind of like something out of like Halloween 2, where
yeah.
both the killers come in there, and it's some again really great stunt work. We get to see the killers in action a lot more, but it just seems like a tacked on ending where these characters just survived and now you've killed one of them, and then the other one has to do the same exact thing again, um, to kill the killers. Which she does a pretty cool job of killing both of them a second time. Saying that she gets one of them with a paddles like Agnes to the
Yeah,
head, and then fights the Billy
Casey.
character. But it's yeah, it's definitely unnecessary. And so there's three alternate endings.
Okay.
The first one is very reminiscent of the original Black Christmas. It has the scene in there where Lee and Kelly are sitting in the hospital and do the whole watch thing, and then it has a pull out the back windows. I think that she gets a call on her phone or something like that, and it's the call on her phone is one of the killers calling her phone, her cell phone, which is that's kind of cool, I guess. And then it pulls back from the hospital, and it's still kind of lackluster. It doesn't quite sell the ending. And then the second one has a similar ending to the original one, except for Billy doesn't come back, only Agnes. Billy's actually completely burned because he got burned and he's dead, and then Agnes is still alive and she comes after him, and then she kills Agnes with the paddles, and then that's kind of the end of it. There's not the whole extra part where she fights Billy again.
Hmm.
And then there's some like really contrived scene at the end where like the end where the nurse and one of the other cops like walk her out, and then the door closes and there's like a close up of a Christmas sign, kind of trying to be ironic or whatever, like peace on earth or something like that. So, and then the third ending has Billy completely burned again, and he's like originally he should have been burned because the house burned down, and one of them clearly got burned, and he's still alive even though he's burned, and he ends up in the wall, sort of thing, burned up. So I mean, they had like three different ideas, and then the fourth one that they actually did, they probably showed it to a test audience, and then they were like, I don't like it that he's burned, and then yeah, I don't know. It is kind of a mess, the ending,
It is
the
a
last
mess
15.
because you're kind of wondering if these two who have eluded, who have eluded people and want to keep killing people for no particular reason, would probably not stick around the hospital for one. And two is how would they even know that Kelly is still even there? You would think that it would be cooler if they kind of walked out of the hospital, and then of course something, there's a reference to Kelly and Lee being in the hospital and realizing that the killers are still alive, and not that they're some contrived thing where they're not in the house anymore and they come after her in the hospital, which for me, just it's just something right. Like I didn't like the fact that they killed Lee. I still hate that. When I was rewatching, I
Yeah,
was like, "Gosh, shit, I hate this ending." And then of course, the only part of the ending I actually did like is that we see Billy getting impaled by a Christmas tree. That's literally the
yeah.
only part of that last 15-minute sequence I thought was good.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some interesting stunt work and stuff. I do like seeing the killers more, but I don't think it's necessary. And I really don't like Lee getting killed. And
Yeah, I never liked the Lee getting
yeah,
killed either.
I think I really like it in horror movies because forever it was like there's always this idea of there's a final girl. There's only one person that can survive the horror movie. And I think that's become really boring. I think you need more than one person to survive. You know, it's like I don't, I prefer it when there's more than one, especially when I hate it too when the character gets so close to surviving and then something stupid happens like that. Man,
Yeah, I don't know how you do, and I don't really. I'd have to go back through and watch some of these remakes that came out at the same time period. We haven't done many of the remakes. I don't think we've done any of them except for Dawn of the Dead. Actually, I think the only remake we've actually covered on the show is, excuse me, Dawn of the Dead. So
yeah,
going back and revisiting a lot of these to figure out how this whole era of horror movies and horror remakes were being done would be interesting conversation in and of itself. Um, I don't know. From my perspective, I didn't like the ending. I would love to hear other people's perspective on that and see how effective it was. I don't know how well this film was, both monetarily and critically. I don't seem to recall a lot of people liking this movie. I just don't
Right. I don't.
remember anything about this. Like,
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I was aware of it for some reason. I watched it when it came out. I didn't watch it at the theater. I think I watched it when it came on DVD. But the budget was $9 million. The box office take was 21.5 million,
okay.
which is okay. I know it's not like. I mean, I'm sure they wanted a lot bigger budget. I don't know what happened after this. The director, Glenn Morgan, this is the last film he's directed. I mean, he directed Willard before this, and he was a writer on a lot of stuff. But I don't know what this may have been a failure at the box office, even though it wasn't a complete bomb. It made money, but I don't know what happened with that.
I don't either, to be honest with you. I wish I did, but it came out during a time where there were so many remakes coming out that it just probably just got and
Yeah.
I can't remember if this one actually came out in December or not. Or if it was like one of those I'm gonna dump it in February. I mean January, which was a dumping ground for horror movies that they didn't know how to sell.
Yeah, I don't know if the December release though would work. I don't know sure if that would work or not because maybe I don't know if people would want to go
Oh,
see a horror movie for Christmas. Yeah.
I had to look it up. It was released on Christmas Day,
Really, that's
2006.
I kind of so yeah, like I said, it's probably not the best thing to do. Even if it is a Christmas horror movie, people don't want to go see horror movies necessarily at Christmas. But I don't know. I mean,
Who knows? The
yeah,
only people I know of who were successful at releasing horror films during Christmas time were the Scream movies,
yeah.
like the counter programming. Um,
That Thanksgiving movie did pretty good. They released that like I don't know. I mean, maybe I think releasing it on Christmas Day itself, though, is not. I mean, it should have been like released like the first weekend of December, maybe, and
yeah.
maybe it would have. I mean, I'm not a freaking
Oh,
film like release person, but I would think that doing it earlier, not on Christmas Day, would you know?
Christmas Day is in theory, Christmas Day is one of the bigger days of the year for families to go out there and watch movies. Families to go out there and
Yeah,
watch movies.
yeah,
Now, Black Christmas is counter programming to whatever else was being distributed during that time. I don't remember in 2006
yeah.
what else was being released.
But
Uh,
think about this too, though, because it's like you release it on Christmas Day. And it's like we're gonna go see a Christmas movie, which and then after the next day it's not Christmas anymore, and nobody wants to see a Christmas movie. Everyone's tired of Christmas, and they're like, and that's why you got to release it earlier in the month. So it's like, okay, we're gonna go see a Christmas movie, like maybe the week before Christmas or the week 2 weeks before, maybe. But by that time, you only have a week, because people are gonna be done with Christmas movies at that point. It's
Uh, well, I don't know. To be honest with you, I have no idea. I just know that normally what happens during December is they release that's our biggest our month for huge blockbuster movies that then will play well in January and sometimes into February, like the Avatar movies do. Because January is a dumping ground for movies they don't think are going to make any money.
yeah,
So if you've ever paid any attention to the release calendars, January, they don't release anything that they think are going to make any money in January. That is films where they don't think are going to make any money. So holdovers from December usually are still making money into January. I don't know what they thought about Black Christmas since it was released on Christmas Day.
yeah.
And in January, you're right. Are we thinking about going to go see a Christmas movie in January?
Yeah, it's yeah. I don't.
I
I,
think
I
that would,
I
you
think they
know,
botched it. They might have gotten a good take though on that day. I mean, because if you look at the amount of money they made, it may have made a lot of it really quick, but then
no, it did not. I'm
yeah,
looking at it. Opening weekend was just barely under 4 million.
yeah,
Opening weekend, so
yeah,
it didn't
right,
make a
yeah.
whole
So
lot.
it made most of its budget later, but it's and most of its box office take. I mean,
Yeah.
it's odd.
So yeah. So it just goes to show you. This movie was Black Christmas was remade again. What year did we say the new one was made?
2019.
The most recent one was
Yeah,
2019. We took a completely different
right.
the story into a completely different area. It's completely has nothing to do with the Billy character or any of that.
Nah.
Interesting,
Yeah.
nevertheless, but completely different.
does have a supporting role by Carrie Eloise, which is kind of cool, but he's not a huge role, but
No.
an important role in the movie. It's I watched it a few years ago, maybe 2 years ago. I didn't like it that much. I didn't hate it, but I definitely liked the other two a lot better. But I do like that they went a different route. You got to like it is kind of cool. They didn't exactly do the same thing again for a third time. Well, they didn't do it the same thing for this one either. They bumped it up. They definitely changed it. They gave you the Billy backstory, and then they made this into a much more like action slasher film.
Yeah, yeah. I think, yeah. I mean, the movie is a like a product of its time, 2006. I think it still holds up, except for that ending. I still don't care. I didn't care for the ending when I originally saw the film when it came out in 2006. I still don't really like the tacked on ending now. I think I liked it up to the point when the house burns down, and they should have found a way to kind of keep that.
Yeah.
But that being said, Dave, what else have we not said about the 2006 version of Black Christmas?
Well, I got two things. The Now this is a really random kill, which is the icicle from the house kill that the killers didn't even do. But you see the icicle earlier. Yeah, yeah, she's running. It's dangerous out there though. It is icy and dangerous, but it's kind of that's the most random thing that happens. It's like she's running, looks up, icicle falls into her eye, dead.
Head trauma. What would we say?
Yeah,
Head
yeah.
trauma in this movie. Head trauma. I also want to remind everyone, the Kristen Cloak. Yes, she was married to Glenn, the director. That's why she's.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well,
I
that
had to
makes
look that up because it was bothering me. She was married to Glenn Morgan. I think she still is, and that's why she was in so many of his projects, and that's why I know her because every Glenn Morgan's name came up on so many other projects I was following, and she would show up in those projects. I had. It's
Yeah,
been a
it
long
makes
time.
sense though. It makes sense, especially with her having such a prominent part and then not even getting billed very high. And also that I didn't recognize her myself. Um, the other thing, this is a pretty cool callback to the original Black Christmas, was the unicorn sculpture that they kill Kidder's character with in the first one. It appears in this one as a gift that's given to a character, and then the drunk girl has it in her room, and then the same thing happens where Margot Kidder's character goes in and passes out drunk in the bedroom and then gets killed, which is pretty messed up. You're drunk, passed out drunk, and then get killed. That really is a terrible. It's but the girl here, like, is sitting in the bed, and then they come in. The killer comes in. Agnes, I believe, is the killer this time, and then she tries to stab Agnes with the crystal. With the crystal the unicorn sculpture. But I guess it seems like she does stab her. But then next time you see her, they come into the room and like Dawn, I think's her name. It's probably not her name, but she's on the bed without her eyes. Like she's taken the crystal sculpture and taken her eyes out with it.
Yep. But also, what was it I was about to say? Shit, I forgot. There was something I was going to say about that whole sequence. But now I can't remember what it is, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. Hey, we've talked a
Probably.
lot about this holiday movie, and we're going to be talking about a lot of great holiday movies as the month goes on.
I was there's one other line that they say a lot, like on the phone and throughout the film. Like he says one thing is like she's my family now, or they're my
Yep.
family now. I wrote it down. I was trying to find it, but there's a second line that they say too, like everyone deserves to be home. It's Christmas or something like that. Yeah, everyone should be home for Christmas. So I just thought those two lines are kind of cool that they kind of repeat them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the funny thing you say about that, everyone should be home for Christmas, is obviously, with Agnes and Billy, they're going to be home for Christmas. But with all the ladies in the sorority, none of them are actually going to be home for Christmas, except for the Heather character, who actually never makes her way there.
They are going to be home because they say they're our family now. Now that they've killed them, now they're their family, so they're
Well,
home. It's like,
and you bring up one of the scenes in the attic. They have some of the bodies up there dressed up around the Christmas tree as though it is their home.
yeah,
They have a
yeah,
home up in the attic. So all plays into towards the theme of the movie. I always thought that Glenn Morgan, was a good writer. I loved what they did with what he did with the Willard remake. And I love this. And I've always loved what he did with the X-Files, Space Above and Beyond, and the Others TV show, and there's a whole plethora of other stuff. So I think I think this film is a much cleverer movie than a lot of people give it credit for, but I do think studio tampering messed up the ending of this movie. Uh,
Yeah. I
because
think, yeah, I agree. I think that's what it is. But
yeah,
going back to the Christmas list I said earlier, I think it does check off more than we thought because it is Christmas is a central theme.
yeah,
It's seasonal setting. The third one is themes of family, which we
yep.
got our family now. Use of Christmas tropes. We got everything but the last one, which is the emotional warmth or magic of Christmas.
There's an
Yeah,
emotional warmth and
yeah,
magic in a supernatural way. Keep
yeah,
in mind that they're superstitious in this movie. They believe by giving Billy a Christmas present that it will allow them to have a great Christmas. And it's something that the lead character brings back up. I can't believe you guys are still doing this tradition, this holiday. Like if you don't do it, you're gonna have a bad Christmas. Miss Max says that. Nothing could, she's, to have a good holiday, they do this tradition, this magic. That
yeah.
I could just be talking out of my ass here,
Yeah.
Dave.
But there is another scene where Lee has the present from her sister and she opens it in the hospital and it's like a watch.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
there's
don't
something
get
there, but
why her sister
yeah,
would give her a watch,
yeah.
but okay.
But it has an inscription on the back, something
That's what,
about family or something like that. And
yeah.
it's funny how they in all three of the alternate endings it still showed that scene
Oh,
again. But that yeah, but again, I think that kind of a purpose a lot of times of a Christmas horror movie is to take those ideas of what you would consider to be a Christmas movie and just completely like turn them backwards. And he clearly knew that these motives, these themes, and he clearly knew how to manipulate them with the script. And so he did play into them, but he definitely did it for the most part in the right way. And like you probably correctly assumed the studio probably got in there and I don't know if he ever knew how to end this movie the right way though. We definitely had three other alternate endings. None of them were worked, and the one we have is a little bit better, but not as still doesn't quite work.
well, we'll say this for a movie that was geared towards coming out on Christmas Day. I guarantee. Oh yeah, okay. So I had to double check this. So the movie was the Weinsteins who
Yeah,
put
yeah,
out the screen. Their whole thing every Christmas or December was putting out a counter programming film. I had to look it up. I had to remember this stuff because it's been so long, guys.
yeah.
So they would
There,
always put a horror film out during the holidays as counter programming because they realized that after doing Scream, they can make a lot of money.
yeah. They
Um,
they were notorious for changing stuff too after the
yes.
fact. So it's like,
So I guarantee you that's the reason why there are four freaking endings to this one, and they don't all work. Is that they watched the movie, they screened it for the audience, and they couldn't figure out what was going to work, and so they just kept doing different endings.
yeah,
That makes much more
yeah,
sense now. Now
yeah,
that we know all this,
yeah.
they yeah. So I can give it a little bit more leeway because of that now because I had to. It's been so many years, dude. It will almost what 20 years almost by next
You know,
year.
it seems like just yesterday I bought that DVD too, man. It's like I cannot believe it. I can't believe that shit.
So this will date my version of this because I have a blockbuster version of this fucking movie, the unrated version. Blockbusters, I looked at it, it's like, oh shit, that brings back some memories. Blockbuster
Yeah.
exclusive, the unrated cut of fucking Black Christmas. And I'm like, oh shit.
I think mine might be Blockbuster too, man. I think it might be. Is that
Oh,
yeah.
shit. All right. With that, Dave, I want to thank you for joining us, Conversations in Horror, as we talked about the 2006 Black Christmas. For everyone listening, what we love to do is we love to go through and we like to rate the movie from 1 to 5 stars. One being poor, 5 stars being amazing. Where on the spectrum do you place this movie, Dave?
Well, like the ending I don't like, but I'm going to give it 3.5 stars because I think I think it's pretty gruesome. It's pretty effective. They do a good job of bringing the Christmas elements into the film, and they keep it rolling pretty good. They keep the movie going. I like the backstory of Billy too. So
So I'm gonna be, because this has always been a guilty pleasure film for me. I'm giving it a 4, and I'm gonna tell you why. I've always loved the cinematography for this film. Always
yeah,
loved the cinematography for this film. I loved how creative it was for a lot of different elements in this film. I've always done that, which is why I've seen it so many times. I haven't up until I don't think I saw it right before COVID was probably the last time I saw this. Um, so
yeah,
the thing about this movie is I and with the original Black Christmas, like I told you, and if you want to listen to that our conversation about the original Black Christmas, by all means go check it out. I've watched Black Christmas, this one and the original, so many times it's ridiculous. But I think they're some of the better Christmas horror films. I may hate the ending, how it ends, but I still like the fact that Billy gets impaled by a fucking Christmas tree.
yeah, yeah,
I think that's I love that. I love that that's the image that we end on. I would have hated it to see just Agnes getting shocked in the head with the freaking paddles, electrocuted.
yeah,
That would have sucked for me.
yeah.
But I like seeing Billy
Yeah,
get killed. So I give it a 4 because
yeah.
I will always tell people, if you want a Christmas horror film that's just fucking fun, go check out Black Christmas from 2006 or the original Black Christmas. You're gonna have fun with those. You know,
I would think the original one it's gonna it's still pretty dark and has a very dark ending, but
yeah,
that one might sit well with you if this one's very gruesome, very violent, and it's also very disturbing, the incest stuff going on.
hey,
But yeah, but it's hard because this one's hardcore, I think, compared to
well, think
especially
about the original one. The original one was talking about abortion issues before that became a
yeah,
thing. That some people just
yeah,
won't like. There was some taboo stuff in the original too. We brought that up
yeah,
in our conversation. Like these films have always been there's elements that are taboo about them. I just think this one has a lot more fun with those conventions, even though they're showing you extreme gore, incest, fucking a child who has liver problems and is jaundiced. It's
yeah.
great,
It
you know.
may, yeah. I mean, there's a lot thrown at you in this one, and it does move fast, and it's
Yeah.
I like the idea that they're in this house and they're all trapped in the house, and it's all this snow and it like outside where the other ones like kind of like, they don't get trapped so much in the house in the original one because they're able to go in and out. But I do like those aspects of it. It is,
This one is much like the original is very deliberately paced. This one is like, okay, we're making an entertaining thrill ride for you, and you're gonna go whether you like it or not.
yeah. Right, right, yeah. And they, well, I mean, I guess the one thing that can be said about it bad is just which I mentioned earlier, is just the characters aren't that developed, but they don't necessarily need to be. The actresses are freaking great.
Yeah.
They're all like they're all like they all have very great charismatic, very charismatic, and they so they all come off very good on screen, even if their characters aren't very developed. And
Yeah.
they're
I,
all yeah,
Oh no, I was about to say I think you're right on the money on that one. I think because so many of these actresses have gone on to do so many other projects and become big in their own rights, I think it makes more for a much more entertaining film when you can see, oh, that's Buffy's sister in there. She's gonna get her ass kicked. Oh, that's that's Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She's been in so many remakes and shit that, it's fun to watch her get killed. Like this movie
yeah,
is like, oh, all these characters and actors that you don't usually see get killed in their other shows and movies. They all get killed in this movie. It's fun. It's entertaining as shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. So with that, I want to thank you all for listening to our episode on the 2006 Black Christmas. By all means, please check out our original podcast on the other Black Christmas, the original one, and maybe next year we will actually do the more recent one as well, so that you can have a triple trifecta of Black Christmas moving forward. From all of us here at Something Wicked Entertainment, we hope that you have had a pleasant listening experience, and please make sure to check out all the other great holiday horror films we will be discussing throughout the entire month. Also, check out our regular podcasts episodes on Wednesdays at 8 o'clock. Those are not necessarily going to be Christmas episodes, but they're going to be entertaining nevertheless. Also, make sure to check out our sister podcast, Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors, which is every first and third Friday of the month. We are delving deep into everything that has to do with Hammer Studios. You're going to love it. If you love classic horror films, check that one out as well. From all of us here at Something Wicked Entertainment and Conversations in Horror, have a pleasant day, and we will see you on the next episode. Good day. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production, written, produced, and directed by Kevin L. Powers, executive producer Kelly A. Inoka. All contents and material from this episode of Conversations in Horror is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures.